Hey, this is me building and strategizing a $2 million per year business in public. Last month I made $139,000 and next month I want to hit 167. This is more or less a day-by-day breakdown of how I'm doing it. We start with some Q&A where I answer all of your questions. You can ask me anything you want if you just leave a comment on one of my daily updates videos. Then we do some growth stats. So I cover the growth in my brands over the course of the last 24 hours. And then finally we do some live strategy. Today I'm going to be touching up an outline that my content strategist put together for me. And I'm going to be talking essentially about AI agents versus AI automation. So this is my main channel, 61,440-ish subs. And then this is the daily updates comment threads, which I just scroll all the way down to the bottom of to answer your guys' questions. So the very first one is from the lovely Nico CMW. No way. What's going on, Nico? Nico runs a YouTube channel. He's crushing it. I mean, he's have as many subs as me, about half as many subs as me now. And I remember when he just started, he just got off the ground running. I think he does like Spanish content, and then he also he's been doing a lot of like internationalization recently, which I've been very impressed by. So I mean, check out this video here, right? Something about creating AI and automation agents in N8N 4 months ago, 160K views, right? Guy's just absolutely nailing it. And it looks like he's saying, I also have a school community about AI. In your opinion, what's the best way to decrease the churn rate? Right now, my idea is to get them a GHL account and software to move them from paying me for the learning to retain them because of software inside. What do you think? Do you have other ideas, strategies? Yeah, this is a solid idea. One of the reasons why affiliates are so good for stuff like a 0-to-1 community is because you can actually make a fair amount of money. Like, you can actually make a fair amount of money just off of the affiliate signups. Like if I go to my instantly affiliate dashboard, which I think is going to be over here, like let's see how much money I made last month just from that. Probably going to be a fair amount now, right? Yeah, so 12,000 bucks. Yeah, so like almost $5,000 last month. Crazy. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to show a bunch of that stuff. Where the hell's my dashboard, man? Oh, right over here. Look at this. My commissions on this are $3,535. It's nuts, right? Like the affiliate revenue takes a while to get up there, but when it does, it spikes, man. You know, making 8,000, 9,000 bucks a month for instantly. Yeah, they're going to pay me a lot. And the value there is, Nico, because you are also dealing with a similar subset. It's not the exact same niche, but I think it's pretty similar. You could have people go through some sort of affiliate sign up funnel and then just like reap the rewards on the back end. Now that's not actually going to decrease your churn rate, just to be abundantly clear. That's going to make you more money, but it's not going to decrease your churn rate. If you want to decrease your churn rate, the most effective thing that I've found is just being present every day in the community. I make it a point to just show up to my community every day for at least like 20-ish, 30-ish minutes, scroll through, respond to between 50 to 70% of the threads, and just look for opportunities that I can add value and then showcase my expertise. You know, every comment and every reply on any one of my community threads is basically an opportunity for me to continue selling the people that I am selling to. Think about it that way. I don't usually think about it that way, to be abundantly clear. I actually have a lot of fun with it, but yeah, you know, like anytime that you're present in the community, that alleviates a big chunk of the churn. So it's probably the straightest line path. Now, my churn is still, even saying all that, about 20%. And anytime you're dealing with a beginner sort of community, you're going to have substantially higher churn because not all of these people have the money in order to keep paying you for more than a couple of months. Some people are like banking on this working, and you know, if it doesn't work, then they're going to fall off. I don't know, not be able to pay their rent or whatever, which is just a bad situation. You shouldn't be signing up to my community or anybody else's community if like you're having trouble paying rent, you know? Sort that out first, and then you can zoom out and have longer term thinking. As somebody that did basically exactly what I was saying a moment ago, would not recommend looking back. And, you know, I definitely don't think anybody should be putting themselves in that position. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you focus on a beginner community, your churn's necessarily going to be higher. So a way that you can decrease churn further is just by increasing your prices and basically putting it out of the reach of people that are maybe like a little bit earlier on in their business that were less likely to stick with it anyway. And in that way, you have fewer people that are like shopping around. But to be honest, it's sort of a trade-off, right? Because if you increase your top of funnel with an offer, like the wider that the top of funnel is, let me just go over here because it's just getting unnecessarily long. The wider that your top of funnel is for something like this, right? The more people, like if this is my top of funnel here, and this is like basically what it looks like. The wider that this is, the more people that can pay you for affiliates. So it's sort of a trade-off, right? It's like you could charge, okay, let's just do some hypotheticals. We could do $50 a month for my community. And then maybe I get, I don't know, 500 people per month signing up. And then, I don't know, let's say 10% of those sign up to my affiliate stack. So 50 per month on my affiliate. And then the average value of my affiliate is, I don't know, an additional $100 per month, okay? So what am I making here? I'm making, if we just do the math, $50 per month times 500 people. Sorry. Yeah, 50 times 500 plus, if you think about it, 50 times 100, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm making, what's that, $25,000 per month in new MRR, plus 50 times 100 is another $5,000 per month, right? $1,000 per month, which is a 30K in revenue, in new MRR, I should say. But what if I change this? What if instead of $50 per month, okay, what if it's $100 per month? Well, let's just say because of the way supply and demand works, instead of 500 people, now I'm getting 300 people. Okay. And then because of 300 people and there's another 10%, basically it's 100 times 300 plus, and now it's just 30 times 100. So now this is 30,000 plus 3,000, which is 33K. Do you see how even though we increased our price by a factor of 2, our revenue didn't go up by a factor of 2, it only went up by 10%. So there's sort of an interplay. In mathematical terms, this is called an optimization problem, basically, where there is some perfect combination of, there's some perfect combination of price here that leads you to like the optimal trade-off between the top of funnel, wide number of people that are coming to your community, and then the amount of money you make on them per affiliate. So just sort of a mental model you could use. Aside from that, you can unlock things at different months. So you can encourage people to stay in for an additional month. That's something that you could do by having, hey, if you stay in for one more month, you get all of these additional templates. This is a very low-hanging fruit on my end that I still haven't optimized for. Lowest I think I got the churn to was like 18% or maybe 17%. This is just when I had these systems coming in and I was doing more events and stuff like that. You could also, obviously, you have to make the content exclusive. So this is another low-hanging fruit that I don't do. Imagine if just once a week I recorded a 10-minute video that was like specific for the community and it was exclusive. Like right now, I don't do it once a week. I do it like once a month. I'll just like record some video that's customized and then my churn goes down as a result. But you could do that. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, there are other methods, but I'll leave it there. Best of luck, man. Thank you very much for watching these daily updates. Love your stuff. It's great seeing you from literally the start line of your business get to where you are now. Very inspiring stuff, bro. Keep it up. Russabus says, I've heard that plumber analogy in other contexts. Such a good point. Another great video, man. Thank you very much. Ahmad Safin says, hey, Nick, your content on AI automation has been so wild for me these past 4 months. Just landed my first big client. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Using one of your cold email templates. Honestly, you've been like an unofficial mentor. Nobody delivers value quite like you do. Thank you. Shot you an email, some LinkedIn post templates that might help you. Totally free, just my way of giving back. No pressure to respond. Be cool to chat if you dig what you see. Thanks for everything you put out there. P.S. I don't know if the email landed in spam or what. Haha, much love. Yeah. There was this guy that reached out to me with a whole PDF full of like 10 LinkedIn posts, and they were like really high quality LinkedIn posts. If that's you, hell yeah, man. I just get buried and stuff. So if I take a day or two to get back to you, apologies on that. But I really appreciate the value for sure. And that's the way that you win contracts like this. King Rich says, thanks for answering my question. We'll check out the book. Hell yeah. Sarcasm says, Nick, how are you able to speak for such long periods of time while barely saying or ah or anything else filler? I genuinely like to know how you were able to, hey, get to a point like where your vocals and sentence structure become so clear and organized. I'm fucking with you. Question, anything I can do in my day-to-day to get better at this to where I'm able to speak more clearly and organized in sales calls and cold calls? As I think that would help tremendously on that. For some context about me, I'd say I'm a pretty good speaker, but at times I have so many thoughts in my head that I'm unable to explain them without confusing people and also saying or ah. Looking forward to your thoughts. So probably the simplest hack that I use in order to sound articulate, especially in my long form YouTube videos, is I just talk a tiny bit slower. I don't do that on this channel, but if you just talk a tiny bit slower, think about it from the viewer's perspective. YouTube has a play speed feature where you can play faster or slower. And so if you just talk a little bit slower and more consistent, then everybody on the other end can just increase the speed at which they listen to you. And most people will if you talk too slow. So they will think that you're more articulate than you actually are at a certain speaking speed, if that makes sense. So that's one little hack. There's some of my secret sauce right there. The other hack is you just have to yap a lot. This one's more difficult. I've been yapping for a long time now. Basically, if you think about it, just about 10 years, I've been doing some sort of sales every single day. And I had a few periods in my life that greatly accelerated my ability to articulate a concept. That was my first and my second year of cold calling, because the whole point when you go cold calling, especially go door to door, I should say, is you basically sell to people that don't understand the problem. They don't understand the solution, and they don't know why you're the best fit for it. And in order to convince a local business owner of what the problem is that they're suffering from, what the solution is, and why you're the best fit for it, you have to speak in very simple terms. And generally, you have to explain things as straightforwardly as humanly possible. So I got very used to analogizing and stuff like that, and making these pitches, these more complex ideas, seem a lot simpler than they were, to the tune of between 50 to 80 businesses every day, completely new, for a year and a half. So mathematically, that's like another, I've done the math multiple times, but it's probably another 20 or 30,000 times that I repeated some variant of the exact same thing over and over and over and over again. And when you do that a lot, you tend to get pretty good at it. So some of that is just crystallized experience, like my brain has these rivers that I have carved out over the course of 10 years of saying very similar things over and over and over and over again. So it's just much easier for me to do something like that, let's say, than somebody that's at the start line of their business that doesn't have that experience. But in terms of immediately actionable tips, I would just slow down a little bit. You'll do a lot better. My Advertising Plus says the other day, I watched your main channel video about 3 times where you talked about how NAN agents are overrated and how you explained that it's more about marketing than advanced results. At this point in time, yes. So my question is, can the implementation of advanced RAG techniques in these agents be considered a temporary or definitive solution to their lack of efficiency? I mean, can they significantly reduce the error margin of these models? Greetings from Cuba. Nice question, My Advertising Plus. Let's just be clear that it's not necessarily that they are not efficient. I think there's a difference between efficiency and then effectiveness. My concern is that they're not effective. They're very efficient. They operate super quickly and they take basically no money, but they're not very effective. Efficiency is sort of like the cost of a process, whereas effectiveness is like the impact of the process, and that's all I really care about. So, not really. No, I don't really think you could advance. What is an advanced RAG technique really? You're just storing a bunch of options in a database, and then you are embedding them and then doing some sort of cosine similarity on them and then extracting the top 3 results, feeding them into the prompt. So I'm not really sure exactly where that tie-in would be between you doing that and then being able to like prompt inject some stuff and then reducing the error margin, to be honest. So no, I don't believe so. Just to answer your question simply. There are ways that you can improve the accuracy rate, aka an agent's ability to choose the right thing, do the thing. A lot of it is just, most of it is just prompt engineering at this point, to be honest. But there are obviously a couple of hacks, like just don't give it as many options, right? Yeah, instead of it making a decision between calling 10 tools, have it choose between 3 tools. It'll perform substantially better. Make sure that the input is standardized. So MCPs, Model Context Protocol, is doing a lot to help with this because there is a standardized input format. And then the prompt engineering of the N8N AI agents just tends to be a lot worse because, I don't know, I've read through the default prompts and they tend to just be pretty crappy. But, MCP is enforcing like a much higher standard for that stuff. So that's another way to help. Yeah, I'd say those are probably the big ones there. And then as models grow more intelligent, the accuracy will obviously go up. Can't say you have preacher vibes, but we believe you. Hell yeah. May the Lord have mercy. The attention drift is a real thing. Never thought about it, but even a slightly off-putting thing can redirect the entire day if you let it. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to answer one more because I'm mindful of time, and then I'm going to do a little bit of my work because I want to get back to my content strategist, Malik, with an updated version of this. New video playlist says, Nick, I love your content. Thank you. Question, with the extremely fast pace of AI development and NPCs around the bend, what are your thoughts on NPCs? What is an NPC? Model Context Protocol? MCP? What are your thoughts on technical debt in a couple of years from the tools we build today? If clients are still on maintenance retainers, I can see ongoing updates to refresh tools. But what about clients who are no longer paying monthly? Would you just circle back with a new offer when the time comes? Do you include something in your original terms about EOS, end of service, end of life? This video was one of the most helpful for me. The story is a great way to be relatable. It was fun seeing young DJ you. Thank you. And thanks again. For sure, I think that there is going to be a little bit of technical debt with this stuff, most definitely. I think that just because they're drag and drop, they're a lot more maintainable than previous solutions where we would have whipped up some black box script, given it to the client, and then the second that a tiny change happens in one of the dependencies, they're basically screwed. So, like, I'm not like, I don't feel bad about building a system that will inevitably be inevitably reach the end of its serviceable lifespan, unless we make some changes to it. The solutions that I'm providing are just way, way more maintainable and way more likely to last a long time in light of all this. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts on that. I would absolutely circle back with a new offer when the time comes, for sure. 100%. Absolutely 100%. You should be repitching all of your clients, like reactivating all of your clients, maybe every 3 months. As you grow your client list, that ends up being the most valuable asset of your business, the list of book of business, essentially. So follow up with them every time you have some new thing. Make sure the follow-ups are customized to that client. Hey, I know you're doing X, Y, and Z. Well, this cool development just came out, and I think I might be able to use it to make you an additional $10,000 a month. Here's my idea. What do you think? Right? Pitch it like that. That way it's more of a partnership thing. Awesome. I'm just going to run through, and then we have a lot of people that are saying very nice things to me that I will just answer and then click off. No main channel post for a week. Sad face. That's correct. Soon. We are just about around the bend with that. Mage Jojo says, looks great. I personally had a slice of tomato and red onion, but to each their own. Thank you. Marlon saying great stuff. Thank you very much, Marlon. Much appreciated. Cool, cool, cool. Your smugness is well-deserved, totally unbearable. Thank you, 5 Shorts. I appreciate you too. Loud and clear. How much would you price for the outbound system? How you doing? Hope all is well. Awesome, awesome. I will absolutely keep up the amazing work. Thank you very much, Prem Kumar. And I'm pretty stoked about this, Abdul. So I guess I'll answer all of this later. Cool, cool, cool. Let's do brand stats. And let's scroll all the way down to the very bottom. March the 22nd is coming up. What is the current subscriber count on my main channel? 61,442. What about my Instagram? We are now at 51,686. And then my daily updates channel, this one here, I think it was 1952. 1952? 1951. Unbelievable. Okay, we went up by 20. So yeah, we're at over 4K watch hours now. If I go to earn, can I turn this on yet, or? Okay, so I guess it's tomorrow that I'm going to turn that on. Cool. I'm really excited to see the first couple of days of earnings. It's going to be fun. So now what I want to do is I've hired a content strategist. Content strategist is really, really good. Young guy, super ambitious, Malik, as I may have mentioned on yesterday's video. I've tried to get back to everybody that has responded to me and asked me, hey, like what's going on with the status of my application, just to be abundantly clear. But I've now closed this out, and I believe just given the quality and quantity of the work that he's provided, there shouldn't really be any problem there. One of the things that he's doing, obviously, is he's producing scripts for me. I don't know if I'm actually going to end up. Yeah, there we go. We just got another response to some of that work. I don't know if I'm actually going to end up, oh, you know what? We need to have yeah, we need to definitely do that. For now, I'm just going to make a copy so I can continue on with this. I don't know if I'm going to do full scripts. I recorded a video with a full script, like with a teleprompter and stuff. It just felt a little bit off to me. So I don't actually know if I'm going to do the full script, but I'm probably still going to have whoever I'm working with write me a full script, because I think it's very important. Because I think like writing is thinking. And I want somebody to, I want their whole thought process laid out. In Malik's case, he's been following and watching my content for quite a while, so he understands how I think. And I have sent him resources and content on content ideas and thoughts that I've had that I want to make videos on. And he's helped, turn a lot of that into high quality content so far. So I think this is the third one, maybe the second one. I don't know. I think it's the third one. The benefit to that too is I'm going to get to script out the hook for sure, and then I'll be able to just like read my teleprompter and say the hook. Hook is one of the highest ROI parts of any YouTube video, so you really get to like nail that. Then you really get to improve the probability of you nailing the rest of the video. So yeah, in this case, I'm actually going to, and this is pretty long, right? This is what, 2,616 words? I'm not going to read out the entire thing. Well, maybe I'll just read out the entire thing. How long is that going to be? I don't know. If I go about 200, it'll be about like 10 minutes or so, and then I'm just going to edit it while I'm doing it. So just so that everybody sees exactly what my process is, the video is AI agents versus AI automations. Essentially, we're going to position these two as different things. And then we're actually going to add a third category called like linear or procedural automations, I think. And the idea is I just want to be abundantly clear that like, there is a difference between the AI automation agency model, AI agents model, AI agents agencies model, and stuff like that. So agents versus AI automations, how do you actually decide which one's right for your problem or situation? Which one has the potential to make you more money? There's a lot of confusion between the two concepts right now. People are slapping the word agent on basic automations, claiming their AI agents are running entire businesses, and the hype train is moving at full speed. That's pretty good. No issues there. I will check. Hey everyone, my name is Nick, and I've sold several $100,000 worth of AI automations over the last few years, and I coach over 1,000 other people to do the same. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. He's using the exact same intro I did for one of my other videos. The current iteration, I think that's how you say lead. Bury the lead. Yes, it is. The current iteration of AI agents, specifically NN agents, isn't at a point where you can realistically and reliably produce an ROI for business that you couldn't do easier and better through more conventional means. Right. Right. So this is a very similar retool of my previous video. I think I don't want to produce the exact same thing, so I'm probably going to have to make some changes here. Let me just continue reading. Look, I'm not saying this because I hate AI agents or think AI is bad technology. I run my entire life using artificial intelligence. The point it makes me all my money. It's all I talk about. What I dislike are the overblown claims we're seeing everywhere. In this video, I'm going to break down the real differences between AI agents and automation, show you what each is actually good for, and help you make smart decisions about which will actually deliver results for your client or your specific business needs. Stay tuned and let's get into it. Yeah, this is what I used to say every time. So a couple things. I think we should. I'm just going to send this to my man after, and this is just going to be like me walking through, making it, doing my edits. I think we should, just for my sake, if you wouldn't mind, adding some formatting here. Like it's kind of hard to see, what's the intro and what's the hook and stuff. These headings are important to me, I think. So we should just do some sort of formatting like this, where they're a little bit bigger. For instance, I like the monospace Roboto. That's pretty cool. Actually looks pretty nice and pretty simple and easy to read through. Word length is great, no issues there. But yeah, we can't just retool the exact, we can't just do the exact same thing I did before. I think a lot of my audience, that was one of the more popular videos on my channel, right? So I don't want all of my audience just to see me say the exact same thing again and they'd be like, oh, is Nick just copying the exact same thing? So I think we should probably have some sort of twist on this. AI agents versus AI automations. How do you actually decide which one is right for a problem or situation? That's a good twist. So how do you decide whether to use an AI agent or an AI automation? And what's the difference between the two? That's cool. So what I'm probably going to do here is, let me just think. As I've mentioned, so I'm going to lay out that I've already mentioned this before to make it super clear to everybody that this isn't the first time I'm talking about it and I acknowledge it. Okay, what I dislike are unfounded claims surrounding. What I dislike are unfounded claims that lead to businesses suffering, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of right now. Cool. I'm going to break down the real differences between AI agents and automation. Let's also do this, Malik, so that we see we have different headings here, because this is going to make it a lot easier for the editor to make a quick and easy roadmap, right? Like if we just have it on bullet points like this, he'll know that the first thing he is going to do is he'll say the real difference in AI agents and automation. The second thing, show you what each is actually good for, and help you make smart decisions about which will deliver the best results for your client or your specific business needs. So that, to me, I think is the better way to do it, because then if you visualize a roadmap that pops up on the video, which is something that I think I want to get in the habit of doing, have some roadmap that we just return to, every section of the video, and then have defined sections to it. Then that'll be great. So why do people get confused? Okay. Probably the biggest confusion I see is people not understand the fundamental differences between traditional automation, AI automation, and AI agents. Okay. There are three categories. So I'm going to make it really simple. These three categories are much simpler than people make them out to be. So let's break them down. So this way, I'm going to pitch three different categories. One's traditional automations. First, let's talk about what traditional automation actually is. This is your conventional procedural automation, the old left to right flow where you execute some trigger and then a bunch of actions occur immediately after. Think Zapier, Make.com, where you build linear workflows. The old left to right flow where you execute some trigger and then a bunch of actions occur immediately after without the use of AI. Let's do that. Think Zapier, Make.com, where you build these linear workflows that connect different tools together. They're reliable, predictable. They've been around for years. For example, let me show you a simple automation. Oh, I love this. So we have examples coming in with slightly lighter gray text. Beautiful. Let me show you a simple automation I built in Make.com for invoice follow-ups. Every day at 7:30 a.m., it checks your unpaid invoices, calculates how many days they've been outstanding, and sends specific follow-up emails at 7-day intervals. Pulls invoice data, does the date math, sends personalized reminders automatically without you having to remember or manually track anything. Beautiful. This is great. This is a great example of a linear automation that does not involve any sort of, traditional automation that does not involve any sort of AI. Wonderful. AI automation. So that is the first. This is sort of the second category. Next up is AI automation. This is where we take the same procedural flow, but add an AI component somewhere in the middle. Maybe instead of just forwarding an email, we have GPT analyze the content first, then make a decision based on what it finds. Well, let's not do this. Just sending an email, we have GPT. We have a large language model write the content first, then make a decision based off what it finds first and personalize it based on, you have a large language model, personalize the content based on something about the client or prospect. We also have AI automation that is dynamic. Instead of just using AI as a component within a fixed workflow, dynamic AI automation allows the AI to make decisions about which path to take. You can see what makes dynamic AI automation different. The LLM actually sits earlier in the process and decides which actions to execute based on the input. After analyzing the input, it might choose path A or path B, depending on what it determines is the best approach. Essentially, the AI is making decisions about the flow rather than just processing data within a predetermined sequence. This is great. We're on the same page here. This adds flexibility to your automations. Now, I want you to focus with me. Here is where people get confused. What is this? I'm not really sure what this means. Maybe this is formatting, or maybe this is your mark to like tell you to come back in here and then make some edits. People get confused. They call this an AI agent, which it is not, because the AI is still operating and constrained within a set of predefined pathways that you've established. Basically, the AI chooses between options you've created, but it doesn't have the freedom to define new paths on its own. Okay, and then I think we're missing a heading here. So I'm just going to add a heading. Then we'll go AI agents. Now, when we talk about AI agents, we're talking about something fundamentally different. An AI agent is a system that uses an LLM, large language model, to decide the control flow of an application. That's right. In plain English, that means that the AI gets to make decisions about what actions to take and in what order. With an AI agent, instead of you designing the whole workflow, you're essentially giving the AI access to various tools, and then you let it figure out the most efficient way to complete your request using those tools. It decides what the flow looks like, meaning it decides what the flow looks like. That's really cool. Let me show you what I mean with a practical example. This is the lighter gray text. We should probably just come up with a simpler way for me to see this, because if you think about it, like when I read, if I am to read this with some sort of teleprompter or whatever, it'll all just look like the same text. There's no formatting here, right? So how can I do this in such a way that I'd know? Well, definitely the light gray here just kind of confuses me a little. So we should just use a highlight like this. That just makes it a lot easier. So let's just do that. That's sort of our convention, okay? We'll just do a highlight for now. I don't really like the highlight idea, because then we can't really just like immediately jump to all the examples. You know what I mean? Like you can't Command F a highlight. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do some formatting, like example? No, that's annoying. The markdown formatting makes that weird. Why don't we just do something like this, man? It'll just be some specified formatting like this, and then I'll know that the next thing that comes up is going to be an example, all right? That's probably the simplest way to do, because then I can just go like this. I could just grab this, and then I could immediately find all instances of the example in my flow. And then based off the length of the content, we can jump around very quickly. Okay, so let's do this now. And let me take this out. Let me remove this. I recently built a website AI agent in N8N that functions as a chatbot on a website, so chatbot. Unlike traditional automations, this agent receives a chat message and decides which tools to use and which actions to take based on what the user is asking. If the user says, book me a meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m., the agent evaluates the request. It might, for instance, check the calendar availability first, then create the event, and finally respond appropriately, all while maintaining a conversation. Or it might start by calling a different API, or clarifying the time and date first for proceeding, any number of options. The key difference is autonomy. Traditional automations and AI automations follow predefined paths, but AI agents have decision-making capability. That's what makes them agents in the first place. The problem is this autonomy is exactly what makes, this autonomy is exactly what makes them both promising and problematic right now. Why simple linear automations work better right now. Now that we understand the differences, let's dive deeper into linear automation and why, despite all the age and hype, it's actually still the backbone of most business systems. So we're using the term traditional automation up here, but then we're going down here and we're saying linear automations. So I think we should just be very, very clear we should reference the stuff that we built up before. So why traditional and AI automations work better right now, for instance. Despite all the age and hype, they're actually still the backbone of most business systems. Conventional left to right flows, where you choose the way that your automation executes, is basically the old faithful. Yep, I've used that terminology before. You guys definitely watch my videos. You trigger an event, then a single predictable series of actions occurs in that order every time. You can build these systems that run for years without a hitch. Let's do traditional automation so valuable. Traditional and AI automation so valuable. Reliability. These systems typically have a failure rate approaching 0. When you build a flow that checks your CRM for new leads and sends them the same email every time, it does exactly that, consistently, reliably, without question. The only time it breaks is when APIs change or some external system modifies its structure. Which, while it of course happens, this in practice occurs less than 0.1% of the time. Microservices economy. The beauty of linear automation is in its simplicity. There's a clarity to logical flow. When this happens, do that, then do this other thing. This makes these systems incredibly easy to debug when something goes wrong. You can see exactly where in the chain the failure occurred and fix it, like tracing a wire to find where it's broken. So traditional AI automations are in their simplicity. And then I'm just going to grab this, copy this, and then I'm just going to use this to replace this every time. It's like working with Lego blocks. Each piece snaps together in a predictable way. You can swap out components into. This modularity makes the system incredibly versatile and adaptable over time. Where traditional and AI automations fall short is flexibility. If you want to handle different scenarios or edge cases without necessarily defining all of the logic yourself, you have to build those. Your automation will only handle what you specifically won't be able to adapt on its own in new situations or learn from past experiences. Regardless, this is usually not very valuable for businesses in a practical sense. Why? Because businesses crave reliability, predictability. When you're running operations that generate revenue, deliver services to clients, the last thing you need is a system that mostly works or usually gets it right. You need something rock solid. This is why traditional and AI automations continue to be the backbone of most successful business operations today. Because if you have an established process that makes a company $100,000 per month, and you start introducing errors, even 1%, maybe let's do even 5% or so, you're not just costing that company $5,000. You're potentially costing that company their entire top line revenue. I've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of traditional and AI automations over the years because they deliver measurable, consistent results with the unpredictability that comes with more flexible systems. For most business use cases, the predictability is worth its weight in gold. Nice. So what about these AI agents that everybody in the gram is talking about? They're revolutionary technology that's going to change automation together, or is it all just a bunch of hype? Let me be a bit clear. Largely a marketing gimmick. Okay, cool. So this is another example of us just like copying a lot of the same content that I've already said. So it's good to press on something that works for sure, but we just need to make sure that if we're pressing on something that works, we are providing some sort of new content, something that's like different. So in our case, everything that we've talked about before is new because we're showcasing much higher quality examples. We're also talking about how do you decide whether to use AI agents or AI automation. So we're actually like, we're not just saying AI agents suck like I did. We're saying, hey, here's when to use one or the other. But, I don't really think we need that. So what I might do, and it's not just AI agents that suck, it's AI agents in N8N specifically. So when do you actually use AI agents? AI agents, then, are they the revolutionary technology that's going to change automation forever? Or are they all just a bunch of hype? Let's look at what an AI agent actually is in N8N. You've probably seen this before. I've got a simple example here. So let's do our example. Simple example here. It's a chat interface that connects to an LLM GPT-4, stores conversation history and memory buffer, and has access to various tools like Google Cloud, Gmail, HTTP Express. When you send a message to this agent, it decides which tool to use and in what order based on what you're asking for. Looks really cool from a bird's eye perspective. You can ask it to book me a meeting around 3 p.m. It'll interpret that request, check your calendar availability, create the event. That wow factor is undeniable and it makes for great demos. But remember, this approach comes with a reliability cost. These AI agents have a failure rate of anywhere between 1% to 5% per query as of the time of this recording. That'll probably change, to be clear. Might not sound like much, but it's astronomically higher than traditional automation to the tune of several thousand times. And since you're communicating with this flexible model, it's not always going to interpret your request correctly. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Okay, this is the hidden costs, right? That's fine. I should mention this. I've also previously touched on the hidden costs most people talk about. Okay. So the question is, when do you actually use it? Right. So I will always do, so let's make a long story short. To make a long story short, given the pros, cons, given the benefits and drawbacks of AI automations, traditional and AI automations versus AI agents, here is how I choose. I use traditional automation when the process is well-defined and follows a predictable pattern. Reliability is non-negotiable, like financial transactions, legal documents, or flows that are producing a high ROI. The decisions required are clear-cut. If A, then B. If C, then D. I need to maintain precise control over outputs, particularly important in enterprise applications. And the process itself rarely changes. I experiment. I use AI agents when the process requires understanding natural language inputs. Not necessarily. I mean, you could use AI automations for that, right? The task involves creative generation. Not really. Okay. There we go. This is a big one. Okay. So these are the two big ones. The cost of occasional errors is minimal, and then you're building customer-facing experience where the wow factor provides value. Very, very smart of you. Very smart of you. Customer-facing experience with the wow factor of a chatbot provides value. The cost of occasional errors is minimal, i.e. it's not something integral to the lifeblood of your business, like a booking flow. Just use a calendar for that instead. Or when the workflow needs to adapt to a wide variety of unpredictable inputs. That's the short of it. To give you some more context, I will always do what is essentially an audit. I don't call it that when I'm talking to clients, but that's what it is, right? I figure out what every customer touch point from the first interaction with the brand, from the first interaction with the brand to the last, how much a customer is worth the business, what the current workflows look like. Somewhere in this process, little cracks start to show up. You start to see where businesses solve problems organically rather than systematically. It's like everything was going well, then I hit an issue, so I just did this workaround for now and figured I'd fix it proper later, but they never do. They just keep using that makeshift approach forever. Nice, yeah. When I see these organic solutions, it's abundantly clear where automation could help, but which type? The idea is simple. Identify the bottleneck in the business processes, then focus on widening that specific constraint. Everything else in the business is slave to that bottleneck. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Here's my prediction. Over the next few years, we're going to see AI agents get significantly more reliable, eventually reaching a point where they become viable for more and more business processes. Next year or two. Much, much sooner, honestly. Right now, though, they remind me of a new car model in its first year. Most people who know cars avoid buying until the bugs are worked out. All right, so let's do this. If we run into a situation where I'm repurposing old content, and I use an analogy like this, Let's just change the analogy. Let's have a different analogy. So I've actually used this analogy before where, people that avoid cars buying it until the bugs are worked out. Um, so we should find another analogy for this. So I'm actually just going to ask AI to come up with another analogy for this, to use a new technology. Actually come up with 5. I'm going to ask GPT 4.5. Cool. I like this one. I like this one a lot. So they're like freshly paved roads, tempting to drive on, but tempting to go on, but a wise driver will wait until the asphalt sets to avoid getting stuck. Future will likely involve hybrid systems, traditional automation, and the mission critical backbone ops, AI agents providing flexible interface and handling more unpredictable parts of the process. Model context protocol. You know what? We should probably mention this a ton. Yeah, okay. All right, cool. And then we have a CTA. Let me just get through the CTA and then I'll wrap this up. And hopefully this has been informative as to you guys, writing your own content or scripts or whatever. Now that you understand the real differences between AI agents and traditional automation, you're equipped to make smart decisions about which technology to implement in different scenarios. This knowledge helps you build systems that deliver measurable results for business. Okay, I mean, most of this is fluff, but whatever. They know how to identify high-value problems, implement solutions, genuine ROI. They understand exactly when to use traditional automation reliability and when to leverage AI capabilities for flexibility. I've got over 100 videos on my channel showing exactly how to build these automations step by step. I think we should probably update this. Am I still at 100? Let's go over here. 160, man. 160. Ooh. 160 videos on my channel showing exactly how to build automations and use them for business step by step. Everything from invoice collection systems to lead generation flows to client onboarding, it's all there for you. But if you're serious about turning your automation knowledge into a business, I'd encourage, maybe I'll just say, consider joining Maker School. It's where I help AI automation agency owners land their first client in 90 days. Guaranteed. Maker School gives you everything you need to succeed. Complete online business roadmap. All right. So, I mean, this is kind of like a really structured sales thing, which is cool. But not the best, I would say. Regardless, I probably just going to riff on that, so that's fine. Okay, one thing I just thought of is, model context protocol is pretty big. If I talk about AI agents versus AI automations without mentioning model context protocol, then a lot of people are just going to, not think that this is really up to date. And with technologies like MCP rearing their head, and with technologies like MCP gaining wide market share, it's important to know, it's important to understand how they work together. There's been 2 concepts right now. People are slapping the word agent on basic automations, claiming businesses. With new technologies like MCP gaining wide market share, it's important to understand how all of this works together and how to realistically choose what to do. Okay, so now MCP is in the title, so I've verified that. Let's go where it says AI agents. Problematic right now. So I'm going to have to add something about MCP here, right? Yeah, good to weave that in, and then we can also use that as a tie-in, refer to another video. Okay. This will change with MCP and other technologies. Right. 5% of your business reliability for low chatbacks is cool. The 5% is $50,000 or $500,000 per year. Any serious business owner isn't going to make that trade-off. Okay. They also have their place in sales, and they're definitely going to become more valuable because of model context protocol. Stuff like model context protocol. I mean, I use AI consistently in my own work, but for core business ops, right? Okay, cool. Nice. That looks pretty good to me. Yeah. So in a nutshell, Malik and anybody else that's watching this is more or less what I would do in order to touch this puppy up. I'm just going to share this with my guy right now so that he has not only a piece of text to compare, but he can actually walk through my mindset at every step, hopefully pattern match me a little bit better. I've now edited 2 of these. This is the second one that I've done. This one took maybe like 20 minutes or so, whereas the first one took me like 50 minutes. So I anticipate the third one will probably take me like 15 minutes. And once I'm at the 15-minute mark, I'm just going to gun it every time. Basically, I wake up, I read through this thing, and then I just say it to the camera. It's very important to read through it if I'm going to riff off it. So, I got to read through it, got to understand it. And yeah, let's see where we land. Unfortunately, my the editor that I was planning on working with conked out on this, so I need to hire another one now. And I'm just playing the field. I'm responding to all the people that have got back to me. But let's see where we land on that. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think we're going to make something happen here really quick, and then I can get back to the daily publishing and just like completely drown out everybody else with my content volume. Have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see y'all tomorrow.